On that fateful night, the kidnappers crept through the shadows. Their faces shrouded in darkness, they found Obey asleep, worn out from the toils of the day. Swiftly covering his mouth and eyes, they bundled him away to the riverbank. Obey struggled and Once upon a time, in the vibrant village of Kali, there lived a young boy named Obey. Obey was full of life, energy, and determination. His hard work and relentless spirit should have propelled him to great heights, but destiny had other plans for him. Obey's life took a drastic turn when tragedy struck at an early age. Before the age of 5, he found himself orphaned, having lost both parents, and since then, Obey has been living in the village square, 10 toes in the dirt, without shoes, and in a perpetual state of neglect. Although Obey was an easygoing boy, his circumstances painted a different picture. He became everyone's errand boy, surviving on the scraps of generosity that rarely came his way. His appearance, dirty and unkempt, reflected the downside of life that he seemed unable to escape. The people of Kali saw Obey as an example of God's punishment, but little did they know that the roots of Obey's misfortune was planted long before he took his first breath. Obey's relatives, particularly his uncle Didi, accused him of being responsible for the death of his parents. It was a baseless claim masterminded by Didi, who wanted to covet the wealth that awaited Obey. 17 seasons ago, before the birth of Obey, envy first started in the heart of Didi, Obey's conniving uncle, like a venomous serpent waiting to strike. Didi nursed a deep envy for his brother's affluence. He wished to inherit his brother's wealth, but the conception of Obey threatened his aspiration. One hot afternoon, as his brother's wife Biza went into labor, Didi pretended to help her to the midwife's hut. On their way, he rubbed her protruding tummy with a charm, casting a spell of misfortune on the unborn child. Unfortunately, Biza, Obey's mother, died during childbirth. When Obey's father returned home to the devastating news of his wife's death, he hoped to find solace and joy in his newborn son. However, his joy turned into despair as a spell casted upon his son unfolded its sinister wings, ensuring that Obey's father, Lemmy, never laid eyes on his son. Lemmy, unaware of the treachery that unfolded, reached out to carry his newborn. The baby's radiant presence caused his father to be struck with blindness, a darkness which engulfed him for the rest of his days. The day Obey was born turned into a torrent of miseries. His mother lay lifeless, his father blinded by a curse, and the child labeled an embodiment of doom. Few years later, Lemmy passed on. In the aftermath of Lemmy's tragic demise, Didi seized the opportunity to inherit the family's wealth. He portrayed Obey as an evil child, citing his mother's death and father's blindness as evidence. The elders, torn between the duty to protect the innocent child and the weight of tradition, urged Didi to find a solution to the perceived curse. Didi, however, was not one to seek redemption for the sins he committed. He stubbornly insisted that the curse was beyond his control, a force of nature that no man could alter. With a heart as cold as the shadows he cast upon Obey, he convinced the elders to cast the child out of his father's house at the tender age of 5. Obey, crying and desperate, chased after his uncle, pleading for a love he could never receive. Obey, left to navigate the harsh world of Kali on his own, the village square became his abode, the dusty ground his bed, and the accusing eyes of the villagers his only companions. As Obey wandered the cold village square, his situation seemed dire, and despair settled deep within him. However, Chief Kane, a friend of his late father, could not bear to witness the suffering of the young boy. He extended a compassionate hand, offering Obe shelter and a refuge from the harsh realities of the world. But fate, it seemed, had another cruel twist in store. Shortly after Obe found solace in Chief Kane's home, an unexpected affliction struck the kind-hearted chief. Didi, Obe's conniving uncle, wasted no time exploiting the situation. He paid a visit to Chief Kane. Didi cunningly declared that Obe was the cause of Chief Kane's ailment, insisting that he had suffered a similar sickness but miraculously found a cure. 2 weeks passed and Chief Kane's health deteriorated, leaving him bedridden and desperate for a remedy. In a state of panic, Kane's wife, Ebua, sought help from Didi, unaware that she had presented Didi the perfect opportunity to strike. Didi, seizing the opportunity to further his sinister agenda, suggested the concoction of poisonous herbs as the supposed cure. He urged Kane's wife to immediately send away the perceived evil child before she too fell victim to the mysterious illness. Eager to save her husband and oblivious to Didi's deception, Kane's wife reluctantly followed Didi's evil advice. Ebua, Kane's wife, tearfully sent Obe away, believing it was the only way to protect her family. Simultaneously, she began administering the poisonous herbs to Chief Kane, unaware that this misguided act would only hasten his demise. As the village of Kali learned of Chief Kane's tragic fate, they turned their backs on Obe. The once vibrant and energetic young boy found himself surrounded by reproach, rejection, and an unshakable cloud of suspicion. No one wanted to associate with the perceived harbinger of misfortune, and Obe was left to wander through the village, burdened by the weight of false accusations and the harsh judgment of his community. The moon hung high in the star-studded sky as Obe, now a grown young man, continued to navigate the harsh realities of his existence. With no shelter, no home, and no family, he merely existed, consumed by the daily struggle to eat and survive. The weight of false accusations and the curse that hung over him like a dark cloud seemed insurmountable. Little did Obe know that a sinister plot was unfolding against him. The curse placed upon him by his conniving uncle was nearing its ominous culmination. After 20 seasons, the spell would return to the sender if not cast away, or if the bearer was still alive. Obe, approaching his 20th year, stood at the precipice of a life-altering moment. In the heart of Kali, a mystical solution awaited. The spell could only be cast away at the first crow of the cock in the shrine at the outskirts of the village and in the presence of the king, elders, and the people of Kali. This ritual would free the bearer from its malevolent grasp. Time was running out and Obe's fate hung in the balance. Didi, tormented by the impending consequences, couldn't bear the weight of confession. Fearful of the spell's reversal, he hatched a malevolent plan. Collaborating with kidnappers, Didi plotted to seize Obe in the dead of the night while he slept, rendering him defenseless and vulnerable. On that fateful night, the kidnappers crept through the shadows. Their faces shrouded in darkness, they found Obe asleep, worn out from the toils of the day. Swiftly covering his mouth and eyes, they bundled him away to the riverbank. Obe struggled against them, weakened by exhaustion, yet his will to live burned within him. Didi, with a heart as cold as the river's current, instructed the kidnappers to tie Obe to a heavy stone that will drag him beneath the water's surface. The night air echoed with the sounds of struggle as they bound Obe's hands behind him, preparing to consign him to the depths of the river. Will Obe survive this? If you want to know what eventually happened to Obey, please make sure to subscribe, not forgetting to hit on the bell notification icon so that when I post the part 2 of the story, you will be the first to know about it. Make sure to also like, share, and drop a comment in the comment section. Thank you.